Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. If you've gone inside City Park for a Major League Soccer match this season, or been hit by the mood set by music bumping outside the stadium before and after St. Louis SC games, you, friend, have been masterminded. And I'm willing to bet it put a little pep in your step and a nod to your head. So who is Mvstermind? He's Mvstermind Austin, a St. Louis-born artist and tastemaker who's St. Louis City SC's Director of Musical Experience. He's also the creative and organizing force behind a training program started in 2019 for STL musicians. Mvstermind, welcome to St. Louis on the Air.
Peace, peace, peace. It is an honor to be here, and what an introduction. Like, come on, Dad. Like,
hey, I had to make sure that it gave you what you needed to start.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with Mvstercamp.
Yeah.
So what is Mvstercamp?
Woo! Mvstercamp is the utmost, truest passion project for me. Like, outside of anything, just being an artist and being here inside of St. Louis, a place that at times some people say that what doesn't have the things in the cabinet for you to make what you want to make. And I've always just been a person who wanted to build platforms for my friends, for people who I believe in. Right. But in a traditional stance, Mvstercamp is an artist enrichment platform designed to synergize the mind, body, and soul of the recording artists. We provide them space, tools, resources, make knowledge accessible in a community format.
And this is something that started in 2019, but obviously it must have been something you were thinking about before then. What was it that inspired the idea and then got you moving on it?
So I'm going to say, like, watching artist survival mode take place and the harsh realities of that at times, you know, like, man, I've had the honor of, like, working with some of the most talented musicians. And I want to say unbiasedly, like, some of the most talented people in the world, just how I feel. And at the end of the day, outside of talent, there are different things that we must have in place for our artists to be able to thrive, to be able to push past the level of survival. Mm-hmm. And so, like, Mvstercamp came from that type of energy of, like, how can we provide more opportunities for artists, more resources for them, like, mentally, more resources for, like, ways of them staying, like, having financial stability, etc. That's the speed.
Yeah. So, and the speed is really about what is practical, right? So it's a 6-day boot camp?
Yeah. So, and to break it down, so Mvstercamp itself is the platform, and it results in an annual boot camp that we do every year. This annual boot camp, it is focused on performance. So yeah, the boot camp in itself, 6-day boot camp. We have performance coaches. We got engineers teaching them how to create their own stage plots. We got teachers teaching them how to properly communicate with a venue, because, you know, you live in St. Louis, so odds are you as an artist, you probably are your manager in the same sentence too. So all of that type of information, right? As well as teaching them how to do guerrilla marketing tactics, where, like, we actually, like, get hands on and get gritty, like, go outside, learn how to weed paste, like, really help put those tools back into play.
Right. And when you're talking about stage plotting, are you talking specifically about how to set up a stage so that it's going to do what you want and need it to do?
So, well, as far as the stage plots, it's legit for the artist to, for them to know, like, how to communicate with the venue, so they can state that, hey, I have a guitarist and he plugs into a DI box, and then I also have a drummer, and we have our own mics, like that kind of information that oftentimes if not having too much footing in the industry, it can cause a disconnect between the artist and the venue, which can result into a whack show just because the synergies are off in information. But
so outside of something like Mvstercamp, how do people typically learn what is covered?
Trial and error, or you don't. Okay. Trial and error for real, you know, because honestly, a lot of my things have been trial and error to where like I realized that I didn't have I never knew that I technically didn't know how to sound check until a friend of mine who was a touring artist, he came to St. Louis, he came to the Blank Space, a venue that I was always in. Yeah. And, you know, I technically sound check, I get on the mic and just like, yo, 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 yo. All right, fresh. That sound good. You know what I mean? And I watched him do his line check and like stand in front of the speaker, and I visibly saw like the sound projection straight from him to the speaker, and knowing that, oh, he's standing in a very specific way, noting that the receiver is going to point back at him, and he knows that this is where he should stand. Like small things like that, it makes the tremendous amount of difference for like the feeling at a show.
Yeah. Now, we have talked a lot on our show about the arts ecosystem lately, and in particular about retaining talent. How do you think that Mvstercamp sort of fits into the existing ecosystem, or, you know, what was St. Louis as a region or as an arts community missing that you believe Mvstercamp provides?
Man, I love this question because all we talk about at Mvstercamp is ecosystem, man. It's really wild because that is the key to St. Louis that's the key to St. Louis. At the end of the day, it is a city that has been making its strides, but at times struggling with the systemic separation that has been here. You know what I'm saying? And so you see that in so many other areas, and it really reminds me of just like the clogged arteries of a body. And at the end of the day, you need like programs, you need people, you need organizations that can come in and not just like get things completely flowing, but also like get them spread it out to all the other areas.
Yeah.
In general, the coolest part about Mvstercamp last year was watching our economic impact, right? Like watching the amount of money that we brought in from our sponsors, our community partners, etc., and then watching this money go from Mvstercamp, go from our community partners to Mvstercamp, to our teaching artists, to the venues that we have to rent out, to the pop-up stage that has to get created, to the sound company that has to build the stage that we have at Music at the Intersection. Mm-hmm. Like you're watching, I just feel like it's those moments are just incredibly key because one, let alone it shows us that us as artists, the very thoughts and ideas that we have, it can create such a huge shift economically for our city. But yeah,
and just watching you, I mean, there's so much energy sort of
I'm so excited
coming from. That's awesome. Well, and you mentioned Music at the Intersection.
Yeah.
And there was music happening not just at street intersections,
Yes.
but other places too. Tell me about what was going on with Mvstercamp last year.
Absolutely. So the coolest thing about Mvstercamp, the first 2 days it's the boot camp. It's the learning, it's the teachers, it's the hands-on experience. 2 days after that, it is it's the practicing, with coaches, etc. And then the last 2 days, it is our intertwining with Music at the Intersection, to where those artists, they get to take all of that information that they just learned, and the posters that they've been putting up actually promotes their show at Music at the Intersection. Mm-hmm. So we had a pop-up stage down Mural Alley, and man, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Real cozy.
So you've mentioned 6 days,
Mm-hmm.
2 days each, sort of for different areas or topics,
Yeah.
literal areas with the shows that happen. Of the 6 sessions that will occur during Mvstercamp 2023, which skill or topic is the one that you have had to work hardest on as an artist yourself, or as you said before, like which one has taken you the most trial and error to get to a place where you feel you're really strong and confident with it?
This is a really great question. I'm gonna take 1 second real quick.
Yeah, sure.
That's a good question. I mean, so there's a class that is focused upon stage presence, and I mean, blessed to be Mvstermind, and I get recognized for my stage presence, but that is something that is always an ever-growing situation and an ever-growing thing, and that was truly trial and error for me, especially when it came to like how much energy do I put on stage, and then also about like being attentive. So I always had to like really find that balance of like, you want to give them energy, but you also have like lyrics that make people think. So if I'm running and jumping at the same time and delivering something that's making somebody think and doing melodies and things, then like the message in itself doesn't get digested. So there's like so many different ways to look at your performance as an artist and having someone digest who you are. Or just like, oh, I want to turn up at a show. Or do they walk away with like the core and the essence of who you are as a human being, and does it impact them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that right there, like, because in that class they have, they also receive critique. And last year we had Lydia Caesar, shout out to Lydia Caesar, and Jamarco Britton, and the feedback was just, it was so on point, and there was a lot of truth in the feedback, and artists were able to accept it because they also were. It was from musicians who also knew how to speak and still motivate. So it's like, yeah,
not critics in the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and all of it is good, right? You know what I mean? No matter what, it's information you can utilize to make yourself better.
Right.
But, yeah.
So how do people get to do Mvstercamp?
Yeah, I mean, so with Mvstercamp, we have 45 slots open for artists, and it's an application process. So you just go to Mvstercamp.com, fill out the application, put as much information in there as possible so we can really see where you are at as an artist and see if this would be like the best move.
Mm-hmm. And is there special support this year for the program that didn't maybe exist in the same way that did before, or is it pretty much?
Well, the biggest thing that I would say this year is like we are continuously being able to be deeper inside the ecosystem of St. Louis. So like this year, as a presenting partner, we have the Regional Arts Commission that is doing so much for us to be able to really provide for these artists and to pop up at Music at the Intersection. So we're working with the Regional Arts Commission. We're also working with the Culture Collective, who is a part of Belief Co., as well as the Kransberg, like coming together for us to be able to have space for these artists, for us to be able to build this platform.
Yeah. I think it gets to, it's something that I wrote down as you were talking, ecosystem. The co-part, the community, the collaboration is really something that that comes to the fore as you're talking.
Yeah, always.
We're speaking with Mvstermind Austin, a.k.a. Mvstermind. He's a St. Louis-born artist and tastemaker and St. Louis City SC's Director of Musical Experience. So, Mvstermind, you've been supporting local talent as well as performing your own music for years now.
Yeah.
That mission has continued with this new position that was announced before City SC's debut season.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a story connected to this title? Like, how'd you get it?
I'm blessed to state that I received that title by literally creating that title and creating that position. Director of Musical Experience. That in itself was something that I was inspired by seeing an individual like Big Sean, who is the director of innovation for the Detroit Pistons, right? And so Big Sean, he is a rapper, a hip-hop artist who is the embodiment of his city. That's something that he stands on. That's something that he prides. And so just seeing a little bit of that and seeing his impact of an individual who is let alone like world renowned in their music and things of that nature, but their actual impact in their city is something that that affects ecosystems, you know? And so seeing like a sports franchise like tap into the actual community to like really personify who their community is and how to interact, how to engage, how to be authentic, that was something that like really clicked into my brain and began to mastermind or map out what being the director of musical experience would be for St. Louis City SC.
Yeah.
Since the fact that it's a brand, we were brand new. So it's like, how do we set the tone musically to represent for us for decades to come, creating that actual musical philosophy. And so connecting with City, we worked together and we brought it to life, and it's every day is so much beautiful, wow, platforms that are being built for artists is wild.
Is there a story that you wanted to tell, you know, or a thread that sort of connects through what you have programmed for City SC this year?
Indeed. Yeah. So, because to an extent, it's funny. I think some people think I would read some articles and it'd be like St. Louis City SC hires rapper Mvstermind to make playlists for the stadium. I'm like, yo. It's not exactly what's happening, guys.
Right.
And you know, it's all good. But in hindsight, as director of musical experience, what I was brought on to do was to create the actual musical philosophy behind the stadium. You know, what do we play? Why do we play it? What is the grand story that is being told locally that can represent us as City globally? And of course, being a rapper, again, more articles will be like, you know, the rapper is picking the music for the stadium, and so there would be a big focus of like, oh man, is he only gonna play rap? Is my genre going to get played?
Right.
And hearing a lot of this information was actually good for me because it helped show me of where St. Louis was at, right? Like, you know, like at times we would be in places that might focus on what would be our separations, what would put us in separate boxes. And so for me, coming from the hip hop world, it's community builder. It's community. It's differences. There's so many different things, different samples, different genres come together and hit.
Yeah.
So I created the philosophy that what we play, what we represent in this stadium, the sonic experience of music, it represents heart, hustle, and spirit of St. Louis. So it's regardless of genre. It's an energy focused thing that you're going to feel there at the stadium with the local artists who we bring in, with the national artists who we bring in, with the music that plays inside of the stadium, the music on the socials, etc. And so, yeah, it's a lot of depth to it. But, yeah.
And you've partly answered this question already, but is there anything that you've learned about St. Louis and its people that if you did not have this specific job, that maybe you would have missed or it might have taken a little longer to get?
Man, you know, St. Louis actually really wants to be unified. And I sound crazy even saying that myself, right? Like everybody like, you're saying that for real? No, but if you notice, like, there are things that, well, sports, it's going to bring us there, regardless of background, regardless of religion, regardless of race, regardless of that. Sports, music, arts, like all of these different things that allow us to come together and then be able to, like, live like other cities and things of that nature. And I only state that to an extent is that, like we stated earlier, that is a challenge that we are that we are recognizing why things would happen the way that it would happen in this city. And what you are witnessing right now is a lot of different individuals who have been living in that house for so long with that dripping ceiling, who are now in St. Louis infrastructural roles to begin to fix those things for the flow of us to come together and just exist and enjoy and create and also celebrate who we are.
As you're tapping the table, it makes me think about all the feet that are coming to enjoy the experience, what you've been very much part of creating. Mvstermind, has there been a moment so far when you've suddenly thought to yourself, oh man, am I really doing this? Man, I'm doing this. And if so, why?
Man, so the moment that I'm going to say is that I remember some time ago, I don't remember exactly when, but my mom had told me to write down 300 acts, acts from the universe, what do you want, stating those things out. And I hesitated. I took a while to do it. One full moon, I sat outside and I wrote them all down. So I have this notebook that has it. And recently I reviewed it maybe about 5 years later, 5, 6 something years later. And I opened up the notebook and number 163 was bow into sujood, bow into prayer. My name Muhammad. I am a Muslim.
Yeah.
Bow into prayer at the soccer stadium to celebrate the new partnership that you formed with the MLS. And I state that as a moment to where I wrote that down and I lost track of it, and the rest of my intentions continue to be able to breathe things like that to life and countless of other things. And I wanted to leave that particular special message out to people to really have belief in yourself and really be able to give yourself some space and time to focus on what you feel like you can add to this world, what you feel like you can do for yourself as well. And fall into flow, set things on autopilot, and just relax and get to it.
So just to be sure I understood what you said, you wrote that down years ago.
Years ago.
And now that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, tremendously.
That's pretty mind-blowing. Between performing your own music, your role at City SC, and then hosting Mvstercamp, which is like a building into present and future.
Yeah.
How has this work changed your relationship with or to St. Louis?
Oh man, I love this place. And I think I can now firmly state that without hesitating. I can confidently state out my plans, that what I envision for St. Louis, and communicate that in any given room, because I understand who I am and its importance to this city, and how that same validity from that little dream I wrote 6 or 7, 8 years ago, now in an instant, all the rest of those other things can come to life. And what happens when they do, and the mass amounts of people's lives who change that happens when it does, and then the lives that they change when it does, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's no longer just like a dreaming feeling. It's a centered thought. It's a centered intention of I know.
Muhammad Austin, otherwise known as Mvstermind, is a St. Louis-born artist and director of musical experience for St. Louis City SC. He's also the creator of Mvstercamp, a training program started in 2019 for STL musicians. Applications for Mvstercamp 2023 Performance Bootcamp are open through this Sunday, August 13th.
This episode was produced, recorded, and edited by Maya Norfleet.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
St. Louis on the Air proudly supports local artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations.
and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.